Welcome to Bator International's Classic Online Motorcycle Sales. Today we're going to talk about this 1957 Harley Davidson XL Sportster. We picked this bike up at the auction last January, and I'm going to go ahead and do a little walk around video and show you what I found was right and what is wrong with the bike. And we're also going to go through the process of correcting it to bring it up to as close to a 100 pointer as we possibly can. So let's have a look. Some of the biggest problems with this motorcycle is with the fit and finish. And it's very typical of, let's say, an amateuristic restoration, or an amateur restoration if you want to say. As you can see, the hardware back here is all chromed up and it's also quite beat up. Items such as the brake arm should be CAD plated. All of this should be CAD and Parkerized along with the brake rod. I went ahead and took the seat off. Again, I was just getting started on the teardown process, and I figured, well, maybe I ought to stop here and go ahead and do a little video on the bike. The kick arm, as you can see, is quite stout and it's incorrect, and you can see it's quite loose. The original kick arm is not this heavy of material, and it also has a little casting tab right here on the actual arm itself. The air cleaner cover is a Harley Davidson, but you can see the service air cleaner information on the top here. This actually should have a box out around it, so this is a different year or an incorrect year air cleaner cover. So that's one thing that I'll have to source. The rear chain oiler, this should be CAD plated, this should be Parkerized. This is the incorrect fitting here for the oil feed. And also the return lines, both of these should be plain steel and not CAD plated. And as you can see down here, the 1038 CP hardware, I believe that is correct. I'll have to double check in my books. It's either plain headed or 1038. I think they're supposed to be 1038s. And one of the important things about the heads on these motorcycles is you can see the casting number with the -57. This is very clean and proper, but the way that they were finished out, this is improper. We should have a sandblasted finish here with a little bit of polish in this area, and then on the other side of the rocker boxes I'll also point out where it should be sandblasted and also polished. This is a Linkert, this is a DC1 for 1957. I don't know if you can see it over here. I'll see if I can point it out. But down over here, that's probably a little bit too dark. This right here should say DC1. And then also your vent for the carburetor right here should be a stub up like what you see here instead of going all the way to this hole on the top. Let me back up my camera a little bit so it's not so fuzzy. But this on the later years comes up with a junction and goes into that hole. So this is correct for 1957. The horn, this is the bugle horn. You see it's got a couple of dents in it. We'll see if we can get that worked out. If not, they do make a reproduction horn that is absolutely bang on and can be substituted for these for the ones that are just, let's say, a little too worse for wear. And this has the sharp edge on the bugle portion of the horn. The later ones actually had a rolled lip here, so this is correct for 1957. On the kick arm, all right, kick arm, not the kick arm, but the shifter, you check the back side, and if it has a -52, that is correct for the 57. And if not, then you have to find one that does have 57. This right-hand foot peg stay is correct, but obviously it's painted and it should be Parkerized. And if you look down here on the what I'll call the muffler stay, this is an incorrect bracket, so we'll have to get the proper one. And before I bought this motorcycle, I double-checked to make sure that the lower case numbers match or the engine case numbers match, which they do, or I wouldn't have bought it. And also the engine numbers are very clean. The gas tank, as you can see, the cork is starting to peel or break, so we'll have to pull these emblems off to correct that. And I'll probably stay with the orange or the red and black paint scheme. It's called pepper red. And then I haven't even checked the inside of the gas tank to see. It looks like somebody creamed it, so I may have to take that down to GTL Advantage and have that stripped and have a proper liner put into it. When I got it, it was missing all of the adjusters for the front fork tensioner and the little clip, so we'll put that on. Now looking at the top of the fork panels, it has the flippers and has the proper ignition switches, which is great, but the upper tin that has these little stobs here, like you see left and right, this is for the K model. So this is a K model top tin, and then also the green face, this is also for a K model because the 57 Sportsters should have the gray face or the white face speedometer. Now if we look at the headlight shell, this is the incorrect shell. This is also a K model shell because your oil and generator lights are very close to the lip or the ring for the headlight. The proper ones should have the holes back here with the oil and generator stamps in the actual shell itself. So this is a K model headlight as well. Now the front tin is obviously genuine. This one's a little bit rough, but I think we can straighten her out to make it work. And then the back covers, as you can see this here, these should actually be made out of stainless steel and not regular steel chromed. And this brake rod for the front is missing the stay back here on the rear portion, right rear portion of the front fender. And obviously this is not supposed to be underneath this cover. It should be on the outside. So a lot of little items that are wrong. And then also the bolt is missing here, the pinch bolt. Now if we come up here to the front fender, for 1957, the stays should have the flutes that go all the way up to the top. So obviously this is a later year front fender. So what happens is, like on the, I think it's 62 or 63, where they had the big valance on the side of the fender, they had lowered these flutes on the outside to accommodate that valance, and then they just used these for the later year fenders when they got away from the valance. So this is probably a 65, 66 or later front fender. This does have the Goodyear Super Eagle tires on it, which are terrific. They're very hard to come by and worth a fair amount of money. Again, this has a 1038 CP hardware here, and I believe that one and these down here should be blank. So I'll be pulling that hardware off and using it elsewhere. And again, the use of chrome hardware, nylocks and so on is obviously incorrect. The front spokes, these are stainless steel with the stainless steel nipples. And the problem here is these should have a step down on the actual spoke itself, so it should be fat to about here, then should thin out. So this front wheel will have to be relaced with proper spokes, and then we'll CAD plate them. And also, when you do go to restore, Kenny Buchanan's a good friend of mine, but they put a B on every one of the heads of their spokes. So if you're going to go ahead and do it right, you order in the spokes, you buff off the B's, you send them out and CAD plate them, and then you lace up the front wheel, or both wheels, I should say. These are the proper screws for the hold down. They're full radius and not have a flat. So this is the proper Phillips head screws. And this is the incorrect, let me get around here, the incorrect fork caps, because it should have a slight radius on the top here. They made three different styles, the flat ones, which were the later years, the ones with a real high radius, and then the ones with the mid-size radius, which is, again, correct for 57. These flat ones got to go. Coming down here to the front motor mount, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on here, but again, some incorrect items. These are all properly parkerized, but this bolt here, this one should actually be CAD plated. Incorrect hardware here, should be a CP bolt. And this engine number is 57XL3100. Again, very clean numbers. The horn pack, obviously the material here is starting to fray, so that'll have to come off and be replaced. Not a fun job. And then the lovely choke. And in 1957, they had two positions for this choke. The later year numbers, or the higher numbers, like 3100, should have the choke mounted on this side. The earlier ones were mounted here, the earlier engine numbers. Now, here's a little bit of a faux pas here. When that when that foot peg should fold up, it should fold backwards, or towards the back side. So this is a right side foot peg stay mounted on the left. What can you say? It is what it is. And I like this lovely piece of addition here, where they welded the flat on the kickstand, and then obviously chromed the kickstand, which it shouldn't be. There's also date codes on the cylinders on the other side, which I believe that they're correct on this one, but if not, we'll have to slip a different set of cylinders on the engine. Now again, talking about the rocker boxes, this should be polished here and comes into about a 45-degree angle, and then all of this area back here should be sandblasted. And the rocker box up on the front, sandblast, sandblast, slight polish here, again going up on a 45-degree angle heading towards this stud here. These are the improper spark plug wires. These should come down to a zero taper to where this rubber goes down to nothing when it meets the wire. So again, improper. Spark plugs, these are typical Champions or NGKs. They're not the square slotted air vented spark plugs, so again, these will have to go. The toolbox coil cover is in very nice condition. It has the proper mounting hardware for the battery. But again, all fit and finish is incorrect, and you can see where they had used just like this bolt down here. That's just a typical modern bolt with a, looks like, I don't know, maybe a stamping on it that doesn't pertain to the bike. So again, that's got to go. So again, chromed rear axle, spacer shouldn't be chromed, and so on. So that's all wrong. This bolt here, the 1030 CP head, is correct, but this should be parkerized. And these two screws holding the rear fender stay should actually be chromed instead of CAD plated. Now if we come around here to the taillight, this is the proper guide, dash 5.6 I think it is, or 5.5, I can't recall. But the little SAE over here shouldn't be there, but again, for as rare as these pieces are, these are acceptable, but you will be dinged for that if you get judged. And on the, I don't know if you can see it here, but this does say dash 55. Let me see if I can get the reflection in there. So that's the RH55 is the correct tail light. The actual license plate bracket, this is a later year. Again, it has, this should be cut up to this area here because, again, the earlier ones didn't have as much support here, and also the rear support should be the same width as this here, so this needs to go away. So we'll go ahead and get that all sorted out. But again, this is just the very first video of this process, and I thought I would go ahead and share this with you. So again, this is our first step in the process, and I'll continue on with other videos to show you where we are with the process as we move forward. If you have any questions about the 57 Sportster, I and my good friend Dave Carlton and a number of other guys know a lot about these motorcycles, and we're happy to assist anybody that is trying to restore them. You can reach me direct at 805-798-1802, or you can email me, which is probably best, my email address is batorintel, BATORINTL, at AOL.com, or you can call me direct at, again, 805-798-1802, and I'll be happy to help you. So hopefully you got a real good look at the bike, and I'm just going to do one more sweep around it so you can see everything that we're talking about. And then we'll just call this video 1 of restoration 57 Sportster engine 3100. And we'll see you next time.